أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. صدق الله العظيم.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. I selected this particular verse because you say, you know what, engineering has to do with Hidayah and deviated from Hidayah. We are all born on Hidayah. We are born on Hidayah. That's what Allah described us. So anytime we have a disease, we have a problem, that means we are struggling, that means we have deviated. If you see a problem and you do not say right away, I know the solution. If you have to struggle, that means you have deviated from the standard, which is aql, which is akhlaq. It looks like a puzzle because you forgot your standard. It's the same with the disease. Anytime you have a disease, physical disease, it's because you are deviated from the true lifestyle. Right? You have forgotten the natural lifestyle, and that's what your body is revolting. That's the test. Prophet Muhammad said, the last one, for every disease there is a cure, and it comes from nature. Translate that in engineering term, for every problem there is a solution. And the solution is in nature. What is in nature? Quran Hadith and what is subject? Quran Hadith for deductive logic and the nature, natural setting is the inductive logic. That's all. Can you focus on that? Because of the slides. So, any disease that happens is because, in simple term, because the frequency, even secular people understand this, because frequency of your natural frequency is in conflict with artificial frequency you're exposed to. So even emotionally, if you're used to vibrating with Quran and Hadith, and there's a music, you'll become physically sick. If you are used to sunlight and you have Wi-Fi signals coming to you, you will become physically sick. That's deductive logic. Do you see that? We always say, well, you must have eaten something, because that's what we are taught. It's the mass. We know how to characterize mass. We know what is the bad mass and good mass. We do not know what is the bad energy and good energy. Inductive logic shows that Wi-Fi is just as harmful as poison, slow poison. But science, the new science, the science with dollar sign, cannot characterize it. Today I posted on my Facebook how that deviation happened, how new science forgot how to characterize energy. That's why you cannot distinguish between artificial light and sunlight. So here's a list of different frequency causing this kind of physical problems. And you can see each of them is the expression. They all relate to different body parts, but not the organ. See, this is new science. This is coming from new science. In Chinese medicine, each of them would relate to a vital organ. For instance, when you have discomfort, do you know it's a matter of heart? Your heart is not comfortable. You put a monarch, heart is the monarch organ, you put a monarch in a shabby house, he will feel very uncomfortable. He says, what is this? Where is my palace? Where is my throne? So your body literally becomes uncomfortable with that kind of frequency. Unless it is natural. So this is this unnatural frequency. If it was natural frequency, right? Music has a frequency, similar frequency would be Quran. But the music will give you discomfort. This is the hard science fact. We know that Quran, music is haram, Quran is the cure for heart. Isn't it true? They're number one, discomfort. Right there. And nobody talks about it. Nobody told you music has physical causes it harmed. It's why, because it's harmed therefore, which is fine. But you have to know the science. Otherwise, you fall for the same one. Now extend that simple logic to listening to even Quran from a artificial machine, from iPhone. It's very crude and very heartbreaking example. What frequency do you think is coming out from there? Is it the same as reciting from yourself?
No.
From your mother? From your daughter? From your son? Absolutely not. But because that one is artificial, it's not real. If you put that, it just breaks your heart. So what have I been doing? You do not. So that's why in Islam, seeking knowledge is obligation. You cannot escape it. And nobody talks about it. And I guarantee you today, nobody talked about it. You did not hear this anywhere else. So it involves everything. Abdominal pain. Abdominal pain. You say, well, that's a matter of stomach. It's not. It's a matter of spleen. Spleen is the one that controls the stomach. And that is being caused by simple frequency, not food. We do not do that. Because new science does not look into the history, full history at all. It just looks at the symptom. That's why you cannot make a zero waste unless all zero waste has to have a pathway analysis. We talked about that all the way from the source. If you do not do that, you did nothing. How can you undo the damage if you don't even know the history? So the idea is to go to the history and identify where the problem happened and neglect nothing. And we have an example coming up where we show a concrete example that you cannot neglect anything. And that's not your job to say, well, this is negligible. For instance, somebody was making wudu and Prophet said, you have to optimize. He said, is it even from well? Because it has unlimited supply. So that's not your job. What did Prophet say? Even if it's from a river. What is available or not, that's not your job. Your job is to optimize your behavior. And that science has never been talked about in modern era. So, again, that one is artificial, that is causing discomfort. We have natural. And this natural is the one you want to be in harmony with. Every part. So now, I'm telling you, if you have neuron in your brain, everybody understand? Right? Neuron is the one that we are distinctly different, so-called different species, because our brain is different. Not in size, but in activity. Do you know? Our brain uses 3 times more energy than any other species. Any other species. The minimum 3 times. That's why it's said, and we discovered that we must eat cooked food. Because the energy has to come through something. The natural energy from sun is not enough for our brain. So from Adam onward, everybody cooked with fire. Fire is necessary for us. Now if you replace that fire with artificial fire, what happens? What gets affected? Brain.
Oh.
First thing, most important thing. And that's why I put that one first. This is the natural frequency. Now you have artificial frequency. Same one. What will happen? You know how resonance happens, right? Glass has this natural frequency. If you match that, you can break the glass. Did you think about that? You know that fact?
Yes.
Right? You can sing a song to match our natural frequency of glass. Glass breaks. What do you think is going on with your brain? We have Wi-Fi and everything else giving out artificial waves. Brain is literally freaking out. We have the glass breaking event going on with your brain. Physically. Emotionally is another issue, of course.
That's why we have memory loss and
Exactly.
processing is slow.
Do you know, people did not realize that. Simple thing, kerosene. Kerosene was introduced, right? Kerosene causes Alzheimer's. Until now, people know that. But they cannot explain how is it possible what kerosene has to do with brain. And who gets it most? Woman. That too they can explain. Because new science does not explain anything because they do not study the full history. So while woman is more vulnerable. Why? Because woman is the one cooking. You see the logic? We miss it. If we do not take real science to analyze everything, we completely miss it. Even the inductive logic data from our observation means nothing because the tool has to be deductive logic, which is the only real deductive logic is coronavirus. Simple. So it goes on.
So Dr. Saab,
Yeah.
Ruqyas that we recite specific verses on to heal the bodies. Is also related to this kind of
Absolutely, absolutely. See, this is so good, such a good word. And Ruqya is simple. Always same verses, right?
Yes.
Even for any disease, we start with dua and ruqya, right? And people say, well, what kind of nonsense is that? Especially Muslims. You have open up today and look at the medical journals. There are many papers on the virtue of dua, prayer they call it. Many journals. Yet Muslims are the first ones who say, brother, you are still relying on this? This is 21st century. You're going to kill your wife or daughter or whatever. You kill them, including this country.
But nowadays, so using these smartphones and computers, whatever, so if the ruqya comes from artificial source, like playing it
Of course it won't
via
work.
mobile phone,
It won't. Why should it?
so it
It
should
would
be
not violate qadr, right? If the person is gets cured. But it's not because of that. You get no virtue by playing ruqya from play.
There are many hospitals who play Surah Rahman.
Yeah.
It's an audio
Yeah.
to like.
I have seen literally people used to play music during work. Now they are playing Quran. What kind of, even fundamentally, it's haram to listen to Quran and not pay attention. And they are doing some calculation and they are listening to Quran. It's beyond any logic. That's what I call stupidity to the power 4.
no. So even if they listen carefully, so
No, because the fact that you have opted to listen to this, that is going to hurt you physically, and you recognize that you are an idiot,
Huh.
right? You are an idiot to resort to that. Because you did not, there is no room in Islam to be stupid. You have no choice. Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said it's obligatory, it's fard. It's not mustahab, it's not whatever.
To seek ilm.
It's fard.
بیا د نور فریکونسي چې د خیلې را مدد څخه ده
خو
لمر ده؟
نشره ده.
ها؟
Next.
دا پوښتنه کوي د لمر ده که د لایټور
ټول فریکونسي یو
دا هغه وایي
نه دا خدای وی چې artificial
دا
ده.
نقصانی که artificial شي نقصان
دا خو یې هغه ده.
څه داسې وي ښه چې اوس هغه شی چې هغه نیچرل دی هغې په مقابل کې artificial جوړوي نیچرل چې دی هغه خطرناک نه دی artificial خطرناک دی مثال اوبه اوس دا نیچرل اوبه چې دي دا موږ هغه نه کوو artificial اوبه چې وڅښو دا ډېر سخت روان دي
فلټر
خپله جوړ دي
نه خو خبر که د فریکونسي وي بیا په نورو فریکونسي چې کوم موږ ته نور رسي بیا به تاوان ونه وي بل دلته خو فریکونسي خو د اکوستیک دی او الکترومګنیټیک نو څه خلک مثلا دغه شی چې په بار ګوري دغه سطر بار کوي الکترومګنیټیک
Okay, Dr. Saab, he's asking that if it is according to a frequency, then sun is also radiating these same frequencies.
That's natural though.
Yes, which can affect us.
That's natural. This is the difference. That is X-ray, right? We talked about that last 2 days ago. That is X-ray. Anybody disputes that? It has X-ray. Does the X-ray will kill you? Of course not. Because it's natural.
اوس موږ په دغه فریکونسي کولی شو بل شی جوړ کړو چې تاوان ونه لري د خبر د فریکونسي په اساس
No, bilkul. He's saying, can we make something on these frequencies which the sun is emitting? And
Absolutely. We talked about 2
Yeah,
days
like
ago. We talked about
ISD.
UV. Remember, we talked about UV. UV is used by new science, modern technology, to disinfect. I said that UV is artificial. When a child is born, they exposed to UV. In this, that way, they will not get what is it called? The yellow thing,
Jaundice.
jaundice, right? They think that's a cure. So that's artificial cure. It's like vitamin C for sore throat.
Yeah, we can use these frequencies and waves, but the
Source has to be natural.
Source has to be
yeah,
natural.
source has to be natural and the process has to be natural.
Yes, it's our own business.
We can use
دا
it.
frequency به استعمال
هغه
خودمون
موضوع
داشت.
چې موږ پروفیسور صاحب وخت و چې ورشي قصدو چې نن دا موضوع شي
Yeah, so now as you message in the group that students can come up with their favorite topics,
Yes.
yeah, to research on the specific topics. He says that
This is
I'm willing to
Write that down in Pashto, it doesn't matter, and put your name right now. Today I'll collect the project.
yeah.
Absolutely.
He's meaning that his topic might be something like using frequencies and
Be specific. You want to take this X-ray to take pictures. Natural frequency to take picture. Natural frequency of radio to communicate. The natural frequency of EV to disinfect.
yeah.
Everything. You can choose one, you can see all of them, because theory is the same.
Yeah, application of frequencies.
Natural frequencies for
some specific application.
for all applications, or whatever application you want to have. Exactly. UV, do you know they wear sunglasses? What is it? What does it say? It said 100% UV protection. You know what it is? It protects from UVA, UVB, not C. So what happens? Literally, when you have sunglasses, you have only one part of UV is protected. You cannot block sun, of course not. Then you will be blind, right? You cannot see. So it turns out this is how shaitan works. That UVC is the one that gives you cancer. When it's balanced with UVA and B and C all together, it's good for you. That's food for your liver. right? That's disinfectant. But when you block it out, UVA and B, that becomes cancerous. Just like vitamin C. Vitamin C is good for you if it is accompanied with all the other things, the 250 ingredients that orange has. But if you isolate that, that gives you cancer.
Yeah, so, and there is no way to produce that artificially included all those ingredients.
Because that's only Allah does.
Yeah,
16
yeah,
is only
exactly.
Allah does.
So the only way is to utilize
Natural state.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. So I had discussed this, whatever we discussed in page 123 to 182 in Zero Waste Engineering, 2012. So I give this example, I just got it yesterday. We are told that, oh, it's negligible. Remember we talked about it. So I have so much water, mashallah, the water is flowing, so why do you have to do conservation? Why do you have to conserve and optimize? Right? That's not your job. Because you do not know. You have absolutely no idea what matters. If you tell you're selling vegetable, right? And if fly is sitting on it, I said, brother, don't put the fly. Are you crazy? It's not going to make a difference. If you believe that, remember, all Americans speak French. If you believe that, you're gone. No, everything matters. So next time you go to the gold shop and a fly is sitting, you say, oh yeah, that Imam or Mullah told me that it's negligible. Is it negligible now? Is it negligible? Of course not. You lose thousands of Afghani if you let it fly sit on it. So it's not us to decide what is negligible.
But,
Nothing is negligible.
a question can arise that so can't we when we are dealing with vegetables, so in that case we can neglect the insects, and when it comes to
You see, the
Go on.
moment you do that, who decides? Who gives you the furqan? Can you do that? When is it not negligible? At what stage? And this is the beauty. If you get, see, all Americans speak French. So obviously that's false. But we can agree that Macron speaks French. If you do not catch the first premise, you will argue day and night if Macron speaks French or not. So look, brother, he's speaking French. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if the building was built with Newton's or whatever, but Newton's law has a problem. You have to address that. It cannot dispute about the building itself.
but one thing we have always emphasized is using akal.
Yes.
So using common sense we can
It's not akal. Common sense is not akal. Akal is Quran, Hadith, and the conclusion with it. The deductive logic we talked about, that's akal.
but
It's common sense.
Yeah. So using akal we can using akal. So the first source is Quran, then Hadith.
Yes. So I
Okay.
I gave a simple example. Why are you interested in not a fly sitting on vegetable? Because fly carries germs.
Yeah.
That's a different logic. You're not worried about the weight.
Yeah.
You see the point? But here you are worried about the weight. So everything has to have an independent akal. And that nobody is today going to do that for you. It's you. And once you start to see that, everywhere is the same problem. Because nobody is using akal. The guy will slap you. So is it possible? You're talking to me about fly, and here I'm trying to make a living. But you are responsible. When it comes to you, it's your own responsibility to not ignore anything. As a researcher, it's absolutely 100% your responsibility to make sure you do not ignore the fly sitting there. And that's what they call science of intangible. Intangible is the one, remember what intangible is? The
Yeah.
full-time function,
Yeah.
right?
But also, like if we talk about like the human research methodology,
Yeah.
then no human being or even a team is perfect to take into account everything.
Yeah.
They will
Yes.
surely miss out something.
Of course. You see, it's the same thing. When I say take honey, it's a brother, what honey? What is the pure honey? Then I remind them, can you ever make sure that when you're praying, you're facing Qibla? Can you ever make sure? You take the straight line, right? Can you take the straight line? It's probably going through Jeddah. You have no idea. So we cannot wait. Whatever we have, make dua. Whatever we have, that's why making dua is the first thing. Whatever we have, we improve.
Point is, for example, we have conducted research on some specific topics. Do we know that there are many things
Yes.
which should be included and considered?
Whatever we can.
But intentionally, we neglect something because we are not capable of including all the things in calculations and.
That's why in all my calculation, in all my computer science books, as well as mathematical formulation, I have an epsilon, a term, even
Yeah.
in modeling energy. You see, energy modeling, I'll post that for you guys. Energy modeling is the one that my son got his national scholarship to model that, even today, because nobody can model this energy is different from that energy, the light. So in there, if you have epsilon, and in epsilon you have whatever caused this to be artificial.
Yeah.
This is negligible. What you see, the source of this is mercury, and it's mercury. It doesn't matter because it's not. Mercury is not getting into your air, light. It's no, that's not true. You put an epsilon source from mercury, epsilon of mercury. Another epsilon you put, you said photon is the negligible. Remember? No, photon is also another epsilon. You tag them. You have a collection of things that are intangible. You do not know how to describe them, but you acknowledge their existence. You lump it up. That's why we call it the avalanche. See, when you have one snowflake, anybody can say it's negligible. One snowflake is negligible. Of course, it's very little. Snowflakes is the one that causes avalanche, that can destroy biggest building. Isn't it true? Same way, if you neglect one, then you forgot that this will cause you cancer. How is it possible to give you cancer if it is negligible? If you include that calculation, you find that all those epsilon made such big impact that you are getting cancer from it.
Right. That's what like catalysts.
Catalyst, it's the same. Catalyst, they always ignored. Same with freon. Remember what they said? Freon is so negligible that you don't worry about it. Then within 10 years, there was a hole in the ozone layer with freons. That is for refrigeration. So here I'll just go through several examples for. Have you done this?
This process.
Boiling water and
No.
filtering.
Okay. We talk about some technologies that are. What? Where is my phone? Okay, that's fine.
Probably will call you. Sure.
Okay. I wanted to say that I will quickly go over it. Water is a very big problem, right? So you have filters that can work, and right away they will tell you it's resins, artificial resins.
Resins, yeah.
Right away catch that. So what? I can find natural peoples or sand or whatever, same size as resins, except they are natural. So right away you can replace. Right? Simple thing. Why would I buy a filter? I'll just make my own filters. These are from my daughter, by the way. She made a presentation. In the West, this is some of the work. For instance, this Basu. His work was to use fish scale to remove arsenic. They tell you all kind of other chemicals to remove arsenic. So it's a very big problem. And what do they do? Just like chemotherapy, they give you more toxic chemicals to remove the less toxic chemicals. What do they resort to? Replace those chemicals and say, we'll use fish scale. That's a PhD work. That's the award-winning work. Where did it come from? Simple logic. He did not go for, we talked about olive oil and all this. See, he did not go for more expensive chemicals. He did not go for what is China is selling. Simple. You look around. Here is a very cute example. You have CO2. They keep talking about CO2 is causing big problem, right? Global warming and everything. So we use this CO2. It doesn't matter from where. From industry, right? And we have salt water. CO2 and salt water. And we have ammonia.
Yes.
Guess what? All those, rather than buying expensive ammonia, rather than buying CO2, pure CO2, see what they do tell you. Saudi Arabia has this technology only recently. We developed. They want to use pure CO2, expensive and artificial. They want to use pure ammonia, expensive and artificial. What did you say? It said, urine has the ammonia. And urine is organic. Right? CO2 from industry has CO2 and it's not organic but it's cheap. It's waste. So we took waste, biological waste and industrial waste, we mix them, what do you produce? Look there, useful products, sodium carbonate and ammonium chloride. Those are chemicals that you can buy. Once it is produced, this is a better quality because it is organic materials than the artificial produced one. So you have taken waste and turned that into valuable chemicals for you. As a byproduct, what do you get? Water. Desalinated water to the water. You should not be drinking it because it's not, it still has nodules like urine, right? But that is very good for agriculture. So what did you do? From waste to value-added product, waste is our source. We did not pay for it. It was there. Value-added product, we make money out of it, and then good water, from salt water to good water for your agriculture. She said, how many benefits?
Yeah, so even if the CO2 is from industry, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
But then we can,
That's why we are
back
not
to the
e-
point that the source should be natural.
No. What I'm saying is, if you have natural CO2, which you don't, right? If you have wood burning, that would be ideal. But you don't want to pay more money to buy natural CO2. You don't want to waste your wood to produce natural CO2. You don't want to pay money to Union Carbide to get pure CO2. You want to take waste because it's going to the atmosphere anyway. Now if you circulate in that is a chance because it got purified.
Yeah, so it's
The CO2 that will come out is much better than the CO2 that injected.
To minimize the effect of the industrial CO2.
That's right. So you're taking like pig waste, right, and turning that into a fertilizer. It doesn't matter then.
Got it.
Okay? So this is what zero waste does. We talked about stupidity to the power 4. This is akal to the power 4. You turn something that was expensive, that was toxic, to something good for you. So this is the principle of the desalination plant, but we'll just move on. Another one, solar aquatic system, where we use plants. We talked about that in terms of cleaning Kabul River. You are using both sunlight and aquatic, the plants, to treat huge volume, not just a small amount of water, but huge volume, like a river. We talked about that, remember? We said we should grow those aquatic plants. I forget the name now, but they do purify. Same. It could be industrial waste, but as a result, you're getting plants that could be fuel. Those can be fuel, which is fine, right? A lot better. And you're purifying without adding any chemical. Because if you go to the waste, right away they will sell you more chemicals to purify. This is a very good one, and we also have a paper on that. Sunflower. Sunflower can be used to even purify radioactive waste. Japanese are doing it. But before them, we actually did it. First experiment was done in United Arab Emirates in 1997. And we have a series of papers, one of them cited here. So we're talking about radioactive waste, the worst kind, and we're using nature to purify it. This is how Allah helps us, from most toxic to most beneficial, and least expensive, by the way. So this summarizes the comparison. You see, for every step, our approach should use no artificial chemical, and talk about separate application of drinking and agricultural industry, minimize water usage, even if abundant water available. So this is the Islamic approach on your left, and that one is the conventional approach. So we are trained that we have to work on whatever is available in the right, and we have to minimize cost. Buy from China, buy from India, it will be cheaper. No, we don't want to go for that at all. We want to establish our own. That is the only sustainable one. That's the whole idea. This is from my daughters, and these are the references we had. This is mind-boggling how a 10-year-old can come up with this. And I was talking, even Einstein said, if you cannot explain your science to a 5-year-old, it's not real science. And we say, you have to have PhD before you start his PhD research. We'll pick up from there Saturday on the novel combined heating cooling refrigeration system. And that one uses Einstein cycle, and it was implemented the same year when he got his patent, the same year that Freon was introduced. But this one is natural, and we talked about it, and we show how we couple it with sunlight, and you can have the same thing to cook oil, to cook food, as well as to run the refrigeration system. This is unprecedented. It never happened in the past.
Today you refer to the frequencies. So there has been many work which disputed about the Nikola Tesla. Like he had many workings on the frequencies, and he had many papers, and then after his death, they confiscated it. So
Yes, they
does
killed
have
him
any
apparently. Yes.
So does his work also relates to this kind of using?
No, his problem was, you see, new science said energy has no mass. No mass means it doesn't exist. Nikola Tesla, right?